Panther's on our right side at like 60.
Yeah. Shoot it down. On my mark.
Hold still.
Stop. Yeah, he's caught. He's down. Good shooting.
Good kill.
Panther behind.
Can I get you guys?
Panther behind.
Can y'all cover us?
Panther behind us, guys.
We got AT guys pushing us and a tank.
On my mark. Panther at 200. Turn it. Yes. Shoot it.
Reloading.
Nice shot.
Swing right a little bit more.
One more.
The feet pops up as I killed that panther. Get fucked! Merca. Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have a mighty game review of Hell Let Loose. Now there's going to be a bit of a disclaimer here. I was actually offered a key to do a review on this game, possibly some streaming, things of that nature. But that being said, folks, not even boobs is going to persuade my honest opinion. I'm going to give you a full honest opinion of how I felt about Hell Let Loose, what I saw in the game, do I feel it's good, things of that nature. But let's dive on in here. First things first, the developer is Black Matter. The publisher is Team 17, and as far as I'm aware of, this is actually the only game those two companies are tied to. I might be wrong about Team 17 though. Unreal Engine, it runs on Unreal Engine 4. And it was released for early access for PC June 2019. And it had a 2-year early access process. And it would be officially released towards the end of July 2021 for PC. And it is also set to be released on PlayStation 5 and Xbox One later this year. That being said, it is a World War II... I almost want to say milsim. It's not really a milsim, but it's definitely a more hardcore shooter. This is not Call of Duty. This is not Battlefield. This leans closer to other more hardcore World War II shooters, such as Day of Infamy, Postscriptum, and even though it's not World War II, I would also say Squad, and it probably leans heavier towards Squad and Postscriptum over Day of Infamy, but Day of Infamy still kind of gets wrapped up in there because it's a more hardcore shooter than, say, Call of Duty or Battlefield. Now, generally speaking, the first I'm going to start off with is this one's kind of a plus minus. Is I feel the sounds are good. I'm going to dive more in depth with the sounds later, but basically when it comes to grenade type sounds that you're near, maybe your grenades or enemy grenades, weapon sounds when it comes to weapons you're shooting, or maybe a weapon that your buddy is shooting next to you, they all sound fairly good. If you're next to a tank, it sounds fairly good. It actually sounds like a tank. Cannons sound like cannons and the whole 9 yards. However, that being said, there's some other things about the sounds that I will dive into later. The graphics, I feel the graphics are absolutely solid. They're nothing spectacular, folks, but they are pretty damn good. Not the best thing I've ever seen, but highly functional. And that being said, I did see people complaining a little bit about FPS issues. I had no FPS issues playing this game. Now that being said, I am playing on a slightly higher end computer. That might be why. I'm not sure. You know, your distance is going to vary when it comes to your hardware on a PC, that's what this is. This is a review of the PC version of Hell Let Loose. The shooting isn't bad. The guns actually feel pretty good. They all feel a little different, but they don't feel so different that you have to actually learn a gun. Once again, it's not like Call of Duty where you have different types of ridiculous gun handling. It all varies a little bit, but it's not crazy. The tanks are absolutely fun. I enjoyed actually playing the tanks. I don't like driving. In my opinion, honestly, driving sucks in this game, and when it comes to driving, this is actually one of the worst driving experiences I've ever had, to be honest, which is saying quite a bit because I didn't like DayZ's driving either. That being said, though, I did enjoy playing the part of a tank commander as well as playing the part of a gunner. The game has a large player base, which is very good because the battles are 50 versus 50, folks. Now, some battles will be smaller, but you will actually get quite a few servers that will be topped off on players. Tonight, when I played, as I'm doing this recording, literally half the server list was packed full. It was on a Thursday night, folks, and just absolutely packed full. It's what I would expect to see on a weekend, not on a weekday. And most of the weekdays that I've played, I've noticed that the server lists are actually quite full. And most games are packed to 100 capacity or very close thereof. The next thing I want to talk about, too, is regular updates.
They're inside the barn. They're like right next to me.
Talked about things such as half-tracks, such as Jeeps, different types of vehicles, things like that they want to add in. Now, the one thing I'm curious about, and I didn't see anything about, is if there's any plans to add any additional armies. Right now, as it stands, you have Germany, which it's always like Germany versus America or Germany versus Russia. But honestly, I would like to see the Italians added. I wouldn't mind seeing the French under German occupation added if they decide to add like North Africa into the game. I wouldn't mind seeing the Japanese if they decide to do the Pacific Theater. And honestly, I really wouldn't mind seeing the British added to the game as well. So there's a couple different countries I would actually like seeing added to the game. And the game is they're still constantly doing updates, reworks. From what I understand, they've actually completely reworked a few of the maps from the ground up. They've improved other maps, and they're still adding new maps as well as new content. So constantly being updated, even though the game has not been, even though the game just left early access, they're still adding, modifying, and adjusting the content. Teamwork is very important. That's actually one thing I did like about this game. I noticed in my game sessions that I had played, my experience was improved by when I had a squad that worked together, communicated regularly, when we all communicated regularly as a team, when we had a commander that paid attention to the battlefield and would actually command different squads into different areas, things of that nature. So teamwork, I would say, is one of the most important factors. I actually also like the class system. You have various classes. You have commanders, you have officers, which are mostly NCOs. Your squad leaders, if you will. You have tankers, you have supply, medics, machine gunners, assault classes. There's a lot of different classes, and each class has its own benefits and also bad sides to them, if you will. Such as the assault class for the Americans, it has the Thompson Submachine Gun, which the Thompson Submachine Gun is really good for close quarter fighting. However, that being said, when you get into the larger maps that really don't have a lot of terrain, doesn't necessarily have a lot of places to hide at, buildings that you can tuck behind, things of that nature, the Thompson Submachine Gun can seem like quite a weakness really quickly. The machine gun class, the belt-fed machine gun, very handy when you can actually set it up and just start laying down suppressive fire, but it's not as good when you can't do that. And that being said as well, the classes are actually not customizable. Now each class has two or three different loadout variations to them that has different items, accessories, etc. But they all seem fairly balanced with one another, as they have certain situations. They're good, really good in certain situations, and they're bad in others. The medic class is another one. The medic class is the only class that can revive down soldiers. Now, one backdraw of this is they can only revive wounded soldiers. So if a soldier gets downed by a headshot, they just die outright. If they were killed with an explosion, they're down outright. Actually, I've seen some guys get turned into freaking jibs. Haven't seen that kind of stuff since Doom. But also, that being said, when it comes to the amount of ammo the medic carries, it's not very much. They only carry, with the American, you can use the M1 carbine. You're only carrying 2 mags for that M1 carbine, and you're carrying 6 mags for your pistol. So more or less, you're in a situation where your weapons are only there for self-defense. And that's really it. You're not there in an offensive capability.
The transfer now.
One thing I actually did like quite a bit is you cannot run around like a potato. I've seen so much of that kind of crap in games like Tarkov, Call of Duty. I've seen that kind of stuff in Battlefield. Now, you see a bit of it here, but you tend to really get penalized for doing that kind of stuff here. So you can't just run around like an idiot. And that's just one thing I actually did enjoy seeing. There's 3 different voice channels. They're not bad. You have a proximity channel, you have a squad channel, and then you have a command channel. Now, the only ones that have access to the command channel is the squad leaders and the commander in general. So it's kind of cool how they work that out, how there's 3 different voice channels in-game to work things out, as well as obviously some stuff is done through Discord. A lot of the guys that I played with, we did a lot of our communication through Discord as squads. But that being said, if you need to communicate with people in-game, that option's there. Now, there is a backdraw to that. The main backdraw is, well, that comes down to players and their microphone quality. Some players have really bad microphone quality. Some players have really good microphone quality. Some people sound like they're eating their microphone. Other people sound like they're whispering to their microphone. So it's all kind of a plus-minus when it comes to voice comms. It's not the game's fault. It's not the developer's fault. So no faults there on their behalf. I do like the suppression system, and it can definitely introduce some super heavy pucker factor. There's actually a little bit of pucker factor you will see here when a machine gunner starts to let loose on me. That being said, you can suppress enemies in this. It'll darken your screen. It'll kind of make things blurry. It'll make it harder to aim, make it harder to maneuver, things of that nature. So it's very nice. Now, there is unlockable cosmetics, so you can customize your characters. But that being said, they're all within a World War II premise.
Yeah, I don't have any grenades.
So you're not going to dress your character up like a fucking clown and go running around like a tard. This is not Call of Duty. I think I've mentioned that enough, that this is not Call of Duty. The game itself is very immersive, the way they did the different things, because you can have artillerymen, you can be running supply trucks, you can be riflemen in the field, you can be a medic. Actually, one of my favorite runs in this game, outside of playing the part of a tanker, was actually playing the part of a medic. Although I did enjoy the moments that I could as when I got to play it as a sniper.
It was 2 down there.
The game is, in my opinion, easy to learn but hard to master. Anybody can pick this game up really quickly. However, that being said, There's a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
the guy
nuances, a
dropping.
lot of subtle
God,
nuances
there's
to the
another
game
one. Oh, he's
that
down.
makes the game hard to master.
I got that other one.
But I think once you actually master the game, it can be a very enjoyable experience. Now, here's the things I personally disliked about the game. This is mostly based on my opinion, on things I've seen, and just generally how I feel and how I am as a gamer.
Right side.
First off, the battles are very,
Got him.
very long. And
Oh,
that means they're
right there.
an hour and 30 minutes
You see his
roughly.
gunfire?
Now, sometimes they can be shorter. Most of the battles I
White
was
House,
in,
that was at
we were in
195.
battle from anywhere
There's like a little
from
trench right down
50
the corner
minutes
of it.
to a
He's down in
full
that
hour and a
trench.
half. And actually, one of the battles I was in went overtime, and that was even longer. It was like an hour and 35, hour and 40 minutes. Can't quite remember exactly how long it was.
Okay, I got roughly where he
so
is now.
For me, because I
Now
do
the
have
scope's kinda
some health issues, especially with my back, that actually makes it kind of hard to want to sit down and play this game for me, because
We got a
essentially
full
I
match,
cannot sit for
but,
long
like,
periods of
nobody's
time.
on the field.
That's a me thing, not so much of a game thing. But honestly, I don't see what the game could not achieve by having the battles
Yeah,
for,
he was like right there.
say, 40 minutes. But then again, the battlefields are quite big. The battles are quite large scale. So, you know, maybe an hour, but an hour and a half just seems a little ridiculous to me for a battle.
Garrison down right here.
I definitely ran into people that were running hacks. It only happened like once or twice of all the battles I did, but it
one
just
pushed
seemed
towards you.
really ridiculous
right here.
having guys like just
Can't see him, he's in
shoot
the
me
bush.
clean through brush, trees, buildings, all kinds of ridiculous shit. We actually,
Got him.
the squad I was playing with, we actually got wiped out by a guy that was sniping us through brush. We had a wall of brush in front of us, a hedgerow. And we also had a wall of smoke in front of us. And we all got picked off one by one in rapid succession. Like the guy could just see us right through the smoke. So, come on. You know, it gets a little blatant. That being said, I didn't run into it a lot. And I've played a
Outpost.
hell of a lot more COD or even
I got a guy
World
on the
of
other side of
Tanks that I ran into hackers on a more regular basis. So, yes, it's a negative. I wouldn't say it's a huge deal because I don't, personally, in my opinion, with what I experienced,
Got
the
machine
population of people running
There's still 2 riflemen in the area.
shitty ass mods
gun. Drop the rifleman.
uh,
AOP.
was not that many. Sounds I feel could be improved.
See
Now,
anything
this is
on the
something
other
I
side of
hinted
this
to
barricade
earlier
from me?
that I was going to return to it. I'm going to return to it now. Now, where I feel the sounds really need to be improved is actually
there's one
the
coming toward you.
general overall sounds, the ambient noises.
I didn't give enough lead.
After so long,
I'm
all
trying
the
to work
machine
under
guns
Garrison
sound
right
the
now.
same.
Got another
All
one?
the explosions sound the same. Everything just sounds the
Okay,
same,
that broken-
especially
never
from a
mind.
distance.
Target down.
Nothing sounds
As
different.
soon as I can take down
And
their
trust
Garrison,
me,
I'll drop us one, 'cause I got
I've
supplies
listened
out here
to
by me.
different. I've listened to
I'm gonna reload
different
real quick.
weapons firing. Everything from the M1 Grand. I've
see
heard
another one
VARs. I've heard
Yellow
M3
house.
grease guns. I've heard Thompson submachine
in the
guns,
yellow house?
MG34s, MG42s.
Really?
Do I need to
Broken up fence.
continue?
How did I not
I've
kill
heard
him?
all the different
Okay,
kinds of World
yellow
War
house,
II
there's a
weapons
broken
fired.
up fence.
Trust me,
Thick
they
fence.
all sound different from a
He's
distance.
laying on the ground.
You know, maybe the most similar ones you could probably
I'm in a house.
figure is going to be like the M1903 Springfield and the Kar 98, which is the German Mauser.
I have a grenade. I'm
They're
gonna
probably
finish
going to
up
be the
grenade.
closest sounding weapons. Otherwise, when
Oh,
it
I'm in
comes
a
to the
greenhouse.
machine guns, especially like the Browning 30 cal versus the
he's lighting up my
MG34
area.
and the MG42,
See if I can
trust me,
I'm
all three of those
okay, but
machine
I'm
guns
pretty
sound
much
different.
pinned.
They all have a distinctive sound.
I know where
It'd
he
be
is,
nice
I'm
if
gonna
that
try to
was
shift
improved
around.
on. Queue times can be ridiculously long, and the other thing about queue times as well, as when you are put into queue, they will only max 6 people at a time.
Yeah, we're
Otherwise, it will automatically kick you from the server
I shot
and
another
tell
guy
you to
from
try
the
again
shooting
later.
at.
So you have to keep trying over and over again if you want to
What
join
the
up
fu-
with
I
your
just shot
buddies,
him
if
through
there's
the
space
fucking
in the
head.
server or not. And I've actually been in
There we
queue
go. He's down.
for
He's
almost 20 minutes.
I got another guy in this house. the
I'm
behind
sure
White
there's
House.
people out there that, and I've seen people say that they've been in queue time longer, and I've heard people say they've been in queue time longer. So queue times for this game can be absolutely ridiculous. Now, the next thing being said is I would not play this game. Whoop. I would not play this game on a toaster. I mean, it is 100 versus 100 battles. And as you can see, the maps are huge. I would definitely not recommend playing this on a toaster. Even with its graphics not being the best in the world, there's still a lot of stuff going here. There's still a lot of detail to be seen. Smoke effects, explosions, etc. That all affects how the general overall performance of the game. I did see some minor graphic glitches. Nothing horrendous. Nothing I would honestly really complain about. But I did see a couple things. Now, that being said, I did see some footage, some clips of mechanical glitches, especially with the vehicles, the tanks in particular. I didn't see anything that you'd contribute to Armabad. You know, I didn't see any tanks flying to the moon, but I've seen some tanks just miscellaneously vibrating around and bouncing up and down and for absolutely no reason. Things of that nature. Other than that, I didn't really see any major glitches in the game in general. Finally, the one thing I would say is the AT can be really fucking odd. I don't know why. The one night I'm playing with my buddy, and he's just literally shot after shot after shot with a bazooka into a Panzer tank. I actually seen him put, it was a Lux. He fired 5 bazooka shells at this Lux. He put 2 in its rear and 3 in its side, and that finally killed it. But then there's those times where you can literally walk up to a Tiger tank and one shot it with a bazooka.
Tracks are fucked.
I've actually been in a healthy Tiger tank and was actually destroyed in 2 shots with a bazooka from the front. So the bazookas versus tanks can be really weird, and sometimes to me it seems like actually bazookas are better at killing tanks than tanks.
And nobody who like really.
But that being said, for the most part, tank versus tank combat is actually pretty good, pretty even. You know, it's 1-2 shots, maybe 3, and you're going to destroy that tank that you're shooting at. At least it's what I experienced when I was using the Sherman 76, as well as using like the Panther up against Shermans, and even the Shermans up against the Tiger, and vice versa. Now, that being said, I did mess with like some of the other vehicles, like the Lux. The Lux is not very good at destroying tanks. It's very good for destroying tracks and things of that nature, but you're definitely not going to light up a Sherman with a Lux. Maybe if you shoot it in the rear. I don't know. I'll have to try that sometime. But definitely from the front, it's not a very good matchup. That being said, though, you also have like the Americans has the M8 Greyhound, and the Lux is great for lighting up the M8 Greyhound. I mean, it's a beautiful explosion, especially when you're letting loose with a 20mm autocannon. Anyway, folks, that being said, Hell Let Loose is $40 on Steam at full price. There is also a Lethal Tide DLC for $4.99. Now, the Lethal Tide DLC is just skins. It's nothing else. It's no additional content, no weapons, nothing crazy like that. It's just cosmetics. So nothing that, you know, it's not some kind of pay-to-win BS. That being said, honestly, I do recommend this game. For $40, it is not a bad immersive shooter. But this is something you got to be looking for. You got to be looking for a hardcore shooter. If you're looking for another Call of Duty, this game is not for you. Anyway, folks, that being said, that is the end of my review of Hell Let Loose. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for tuning in. And have yourself a wonderful day.